You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com. Broadcasting live from Israel, IsraelSportsRadio.com. Building love of Israel, one sports fan at a time, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
I got the city on my back, pretty women in the sack, rolling the road, six sitting on my lap. This is not a rap fool, this is not an act. Welcome to New York, blood, this is very sad. Snitches taking that.
And we're back to Monday Sports Talk, and we have a special guest with us online, and it's Shyne. How are you tonight, Shyne?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. So can I call you Moshe Levy as well?
Listen, you can call me, just don't call me on Shabbat.
Okay, you got that. I just want you to know I really appreciate very much that you're able to call in tonight. We were hoping you'd be in studio, but I understand. I just want to describe to you what we have here in studio, because we went to one of your favorite restaurants, and they told us what we actually did a spying, and everybody there was willing to tell us your favorite food. So you tell me if this sounds familiar to you, okay? We got Hadar Geula, 3 different kinds of salmons. We got their Yerushalmi kugel, right? And we got that the yellow and brown rice over there. What else we got there? Everybody's digging in. We got all kinds of kugels for you. So
wonderful.
We're gonna have to wrap it up.
Yeah, that's a great gift that I gave. Those are my car bones right there. So
you got them. Excellent. We're going to eat together with you. We're going to have you in mind, and Shimi Meshi Zahab sends regards over there as well. So, you know, when people do an interview, a lot of times they go online and try to get some information. So I hope you don't mind. I'm going to read some information that I got offline, and you tell me, you'll tell me how accurate it is, okay?
All right, but we don't want to, there's a lot of propaganda, so you got to be careful.
I promise to stay away from the propaganda, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so first I want to ask you is, I guess the first question I have to ask you, do you have like any kind of a favorite sports team that you're rooting for or rooting against?
I love the Los Angeles Lakers.
Really? Okay, cool.
And the New York Knicks.
Okay,
those are my 2 favorite.
And if the Knicks,
right there.
if the Knicks and the Lakers would play in the championship game, who do you root for?
I gotta go with the New York Knicks, man. I was born in New York.
So you're gonna go with the Knicks. I like that. Yeah. And okay, well, you never know. There's a lot of controversy now with Carmelo, where he's going to play with the Nets or the Knicks, but at least we covered that with sports. But then what I did was I went on Wikipedia, and I was very surprised to find some information there. I don't know last time you went through your Wikipedia here, but I'm going to read you what it says. I'm going to go through the first 2 paragraphs. You tell me how accurate this is, okay?
Yeah.
It says like this. It says, Shyne Moses Michael Levy, born James Michael Barrow, November 8th, 1976. Is that correct?
No, man, 1978. I'm a young man.
See, that we've already found the first thing wrong, and we're going to have to go and edit that. Okay, now, the next thing it says...
32, that 32 pounds is a very powerful number right there, 32.
Absolutely, the Leif, the heart. And then it says, better known by his stage name Shyne, is a Belizean Orthodox Jewish rapper. Is that correct?
Belizean Orthodox Jewish guy.
Okay, Jewish guy. I like that. Okay, good. That's awesome. Okay, and this is, I'm reading, by the way, if you're in front of a computer, you can see what I'm saying, but this is actually what it says on the next 2 lines. Are you ready? Yeah. Because I was unaware that you played professional baseball.
No, get out of here.
Okay, this is what it says. Shyne had a brief stint with the Chicago Cubs in 1997 where he trained with personal trainer Jeff Seidel. Now, is that true?
Oh man, how much did Jeff pay to get that on the internet?
No. Jeff didn't pay anything. He doesn't even know that it's on there. I'm expecting to get a call in from him.
Propaganda.
That's pure propaganda. Okay, so anyways, let's get to the good stuff. Anyways, this is what it's on right now. We don't know how long Wikipedia is going to keep this. How long does it take for them to keep on bogus information? It can stay forever. You never know. Okay. So far it says you played for the '97 Cubs. Well, we haven't found you on the roster, so it could be.
I got to talk to the good old folks over there at Universal Music Group and have them do their jobs.
That's right. And of course to correct 1976 to 1978. We just want to tell our callers, since you're calling into the show, we're going to take chats tonight. If you're listening to IsraelSportsRadio.com, you can chat in any question for Shyne, and we're going to ask you, we're going to bring the questions to you, but we have a lot of questions to ask you. And my first question to you is, so what made you choose to live in this most beautiful country of all countries in the world and to move out to Jerusalem?
Well, listen, I gotta be quite candid. I was born in Belize, and Israel is obviously my ancestral homeland. But while I'm in the process of making Aliyah, I've agreed with the foreign ministry here and father, the prime minister in Belize, that this is going to be a dual citizenship thing.
Oh, nice.
Because as a Jew, what we stand for is about helping and helping your comrades and your countrymen. And so it would be very unfair, and it wouldn't be the pious or the prudent thing to do to turn my back on the country that I was born in, which, by the way, had 5 of the most powerful and influential Jewish families from Spain and Portugal and Morocco there back in the 1800s and 1900s. So there's a lot of Jewish history in Belize. So I didn't necessarily move to Israel. I still travel all around the world. I still have a place in Belize. I have a place in America. Okay. So I maintain 3 official residencies. But obviously, Israel is the center of my life. Without Israel, without Zion, without Jerusalem, there would be no Shyne. So I'm really just coming back home. But at the same time, I have a responsibility to do what all Jews do, and that's be a light to the nation. And Belize is one of the primary nations that I have to, illuminate and help in all types of different ways. So while I do have a place here, while I am making Aliyah, and I will be an Israeli, I still will be Belizean and maintain both passports, and both commitments really is hand in hand. I'm going to Israel, Belize, Goodwill World Tour. We're going to London in February, and throughout Europe, Asia, and Africa, and North America, and it's all about Israel and Belize. So
I wanted to clarify. I didn't mean that you moved there. Just I've seen you around in Jerusalem a lot. I'm grateful that you're here, and I hope that you do plan to stay here a lot. Of course, you'll be traveling the world.
I do plan, but I just want to make it clear
I understand
that this is not something that is exclusive in Israel. It's not like Shyne just picked up and moved to Israel.
Correct.
Shyne has come to do what the Ben Ishai did, which was make sure I get a plot and plant my seed here. And so wherever I do go, wherever I'm at, I will maintain residence in Israel, and I will be an Israeli citizen, and I will always be one of the greatest defenders and promoters and advocates for Israel. But in order for me to do that, I have to be traveling around the world anyway, because let's not forget, I'm not just a hasid. I'm a musician.
That's correct.
And through my music and through my platform and entertainment is how I help this beautiful land and help people be aware of the great things that are happening here, aside from conflict and all of these other negative things that the propaganda machine puts out there.
But you know that the negative actually works to all of the great leaders in the world. If you think about it, Moshe himself, had a lot of negative propaganda against him, and he was a great leader. I think the greatest of all men, the greatest of all performers. The one I look back in the entertainment industry, and they have a lot of propaganda against them, but it's more yourself as a person. You go out there, you still do what you got to do. I enjoyed spending the time with you in Prague, and the only thing that I saw, I didn't yet read the propaganda, so I can't say I was influenced, but the only thing that I saw was somebody who can come in and influence the world, and like you said, be a light for all nations, a light for all people. So far you're doing pretty good. You have to just keep up the great work.
Listen, I got to be honest with you. I don't think there's no such thing as great men. They're just people that allow themselves to be the instruments that they were created to be, and I'm really just an instrument, man. When you look at any of the great human beings, what we consider great, from Moshe to David Melech, they were really regular guys, man, really simple guys that really just emptied themselves, removed the ego, removed the homage, and that's when they became, because they were allowed to be filled with the presence of Hashem. You dig? And that's what I do, man. It's really about how, I can, be of service to Hashem. I'm studying that right now. The Ben Ishai has a volume book, and one of the books is called Service of the King. And it's really about how do you empty out yourself so you could be filled with Hashem. So whatever I do is really, I'm just trying to be an instrument in it. So I take no credit for it, man. It has nothing to do with me. I just was smart enough to realize that it's not about me, and that I'm not responsible for any of my accomplishments. And that's what really gives me the ability to do whatever it is that I'm doing.
Awesome. I also wanted to speak to you about your music a little bit before we get started. Have you written anything yet about Jerusalem or Israel since being here?
I've come up with a lot of concepts, but the way I make music is I make very influential music. So I have songs about my experience here over the last couple of months, but they're in the fetal stage right now. It's like the Hokmah. It's like Kita Hokmah Bina. It's the same way the Sifra exists is how my music process exists. So like I'm not a guy that just comes up with a song. I experience life. I conceptualize it, and then I file it away. Because I just finished making like 5 albums last year. I finished recording 5 albums. So what I wanted to do was not just make music to make music. It has to be experiential. It has to have some type of contribution to the universal existence. So what I'm doing now is just experiencing life. So all my experiences, going to the Kotel, going to, the Mount Olives, and going to all the different Keblers, and going to Safat, and going to Tel Aviv, all my experience over the last 5 months, when I go to Europe, actually, and go to America, is when I'm going to start to record all of that. Right now I'm just experiencing, and, coming to Israel hasn't really been about making music, but more so just, getting all of the power I need to go and go around the world and be a light. You did. So it really wasn't about making the music. But, I make music when I sleep. I make music when I walk. But I make music different than other people make music. I experience life. And I file away all of these great moments and these regular moments. And then there comes a time where I just sit down and I listen to beats. I listen to music, to the rhythm. And then all of this experience that I've just experienced, it'll all come out, because I don't write songs down. I just file them away in my head.
That's pretty nice. Also, I noticed on Wikipedia that it says that you're actually with 3 labels. You're with Gangland, Def Jam, and the Black Wall Street Records?
No. Just Gangland Records.
Just Gangland?
Yeah, and I'm distributed by Def Jam Island, Def Jam Music Group, which is one of the biggest record companies. I think the biggest record company in the world. They're owned by Universal Music Group, which is the biggest record company in Ireland. Def Jam is like the biggest urban company in the world. But I actually have a distribution deal with them. I'm an entrepreneur, so I fund myself, and they distribute my records. So it gives me the ability to come to Israel and be a hasid, and nobody bothers me, because
cool.
they don't own my company, and they can't tell me what to do.
I like that. By the way, since we're on the phone with you, we're having all of our listeners do a chat-in to ask questions. So this is from Robert in New Hyde Park, New York. He wants to know, who was your idol musically while you were growing up?
Bob Marley.
Bob Marley, my favorite. All right. You like the words, the message? What was Marley's inspiration?
I mean, really, the soul, the spirit of it. Obviously the message, the words, everything. He was a multifaceted guy, multidimensional. He tapped into every sense. It wasn't like one or the other. He gave you everything, and really, he was a tough guy. He wasn't no square. He wasn't somebody preaching from a pulpit. He was somebody talking from the gutter, talking from the slums. But he was lifting you up. You know, he was.
Absolutely.
I never witnessed anybody have that type of impact. Because I was a hard kid coming up, man. I didn't want to hear nothing from nobody. And Bob Marley was able to break through to that, and he really made me want to be a good guy and do what was right, because he made it seem so cool.
Cool. You know that my wife and his children used to be very close, used to hang around together, and it was actually his children that inspired my wife to move to Israel.
Wow.
That was a very powerful move.
Yeah.
So we have a question from Judy, who's calling in from Chicago. She's chatting in. She wants to know what your feelings are with pets. Do you have any pets, or what's your liking to them? I guess she must be a pet lover.
With pets?
Right. Do you own any pets, or do you wish?
No pets. You know, when I was young, I had a pit bull and a Doberman when I was a child, but now I don't have any pets. I mean, I'm all about I'm kind of a little sucker when it comes to animals and other creatures. So, you know,
cool.
I don't think I could domesticate anybody. I want everybody to be free. So I don't know if I could have a dog or a cat.
Then we have a comic out of Chicago. She goes by Shay, but her current name is Rochelle. And she asked, what has been your biggest inspiration so far?
You know, my biggest inspiration, really, is just to. I have a lot. I got a big debt to Shemaim, to Hashem. Big debt. You know, I owe a lot, and my inspiration is to just really do for people, and the way God has really done for me, man. You know, when I talk about my relationship with Hashem, and I talk about my connection, you know, it really isn't something that I, you know, got out of a Cracker Jack box, or, you know, something that I, you know, just came up with. You know, it's really over 32 years of experiencing God. And he's done, you know, this. You couldn't get this out of Central Casting. Spielberg couldn't write a better script for how someone would want their life to be. But one of the things that I've learned, and I learned this from one of my mentors, a guy by the name of Charles Ogletree Jr. He's a Harvard law dean, and it's all about service, man. It's really about, you know, and I learned this even greater than Ogletree was from King David. He said he was the greatest king because he got his hands dirty. You know, he's really about the people. His door is always open. Anybody could come to him, not just generals, but a regular peasant. He was really about the people because he came from the slums. He came from nothing. And when he got to where he got to, he never forgot that. And that's what inspires me, that I'm so blessed. I'm so fortunate. I've dodged so many bullets. I've been given so many lives. You know, they say 9 lives. You know, I'm on my 18th. And so what inspires me is to share that with people, because I'm not special. And I don't think I should be the only one to experience, you know, God on this level. And I try to be as helpful as I can. So to be able to have the ability to make music and to go around the world earning a living, and I want to use that to help other people, you know, to inspire people to my music, to help people, whether it be, you know, building yeshivas or building, you know, deterrent programs for kids so they don't end up in prison like I did, or building, you know, Jacob's houses where kids or men could come out of prison and have a job and have job training. You know, I'm all about, you know, contributing in a real way, and I'm just grateful that I have the ability to make music and to make movies, to do all these other fascinating things that will give me the resources I can to be kind and generous to people the way God has been to me.
That's really beautiful. You know, before we have more chats coming in, but I'd like to ask my own question. When you were, again, I'm not reading the propaganda. For me, I'm reading between the lines of it. When you decided to stand up for yourself and be loyal to a friend, whether the friend is loyal back or not doesn't make a difference. We all realize everything happens for a reason, whether we look at it as something good, something we look at as not so good. We know that whatever you went through for a reason. We all know that, and thank God that I was able to have a chance to meet you, and I never would have met you if you wouldn't have gone through what you did. But while you were in your darkest place during those 9 years, that you were in prison, where you shouldn't have been for that long, but that's the way it happened. So during those 9 years, and if I could say during the darkest of times, what would you say was the most touching moment that made you realize that not only will you get out one day, but you will have a chance to inspire with your music, with your words, and with your actions?
You know, I got to tell you, man, the more observant I became, gave me the certitude that this was not going to be in vain. Because, you know, if you go through a couple of pashas ago, you know, when Moshe is leading Am Yisrael from Barrow, it's not, you know, let my people go. It's let the Israelites go to go serve God, to go give offerings to their God. So, you know, all of the things that us human beings take for granted, you know, freedom, you know, civil rights, all these things, you know, only come through the mercy, the hesed of Hashem. So for me, the more I became observant, the more I knew that God was not, you know, some unfair, you know, guy that was going to pervert justice. He gives you your due, man. Everybody gets their due. So I knew with him, the more I sacrificed, all the sacrifices I was making, being kasha, you know, everybody coming back, you know, and in prison you're so deprived. You barely have, you know, the necessities, and whatever you do have is always, you know, some type of deprivation with it, you know, to be kosher and to observe Shabbat and to do all the things that I was doing was, you know, the greatest deprivation you could imagine. But I knew the same way Hashem blessed Yosef, the same way Hashem blessed the Israelites after the Holocaust, you know, is the same way that he was going to bless me. And I'm telling you, I could, you know, singing, Shalom Aleichem on Shabbat and just observing Shabbat, you know, just knowing that, you know, I wasn't using the phone, I wasn't going outside, I wasn't, you know, cooking and the sacrifice that I offered on every Shabbat, you know, no matter how cold it was. If I forgot to turn the heat off, I would freeze eating my food in the dark, in the cold. Those were my most inspirational times because I knew by making those sacrifices, I would be blessed. You know, I remember I took it upon myself in the earlier stages. This was even before I became hilarically observant. I took it upon myself to start the fast. I would fast from Rosh Hashanah to Pesach, and I would only eat in the nighttime. And by me doing that, I knew nothing could touch me, nothing could interfere with me. If I didn't do it, I was exposed, and then I opened myself up for all of the ups and downs that life presents. But once I fasted from Rosh Hashanah to Pesach, I'm telling you, that's when I did my first deal with Def Jam, which was in prison. I put out a #1 album, #1 in the world, and I sold almost 1 million copies, all from prison.
Wow!
And this is because I was only eating at night, and you know, I was praying. I tell you, the first time I did chakras in prison, I almost passed out. I didn't finish. I didn't finish. I don't even think I got up to Shimon Esra. You know, but it was so powerful, and that let me know that I was on the right path, that Hashem was giving me all these gifts in order to be the most successful human being that I could possibly be. But just the entire experience, man, of not just talking about God and learning about God in yeshiva, but experiencing God. I'm talking about when the officers would come on the search, because they had to come search the facility for knives and for bombs and for guns and for all types of, you know, weapons, and I would be praying, and I wouldn't stop. I would not stop praying, and like they would be in the middle of beating me up, and then another officer would start to fight with another officer and be like, "Leave him alone! Don't you see he's praying?" But like until he was getting ready to hit me with the nightstick, I would not stop, and that's experiencing God. You dig? That's how you really forge that relationship. And I knew once I was able to risk my life, you know, to wrap my tefillin and to keep my sit-sits on and to say my prayers no matter what they were doing, I knew with this type of commitment and devotion, I was already successful, and whatever would happen would always be for the best.
That's awesome. We do have a couple of people that just left messages online. We have a message from Abram who says, "Shyne's the man. I have a great watch for you. Let's be in touch." I guess he wants to buy you a watch. Are you into watches?
I watches, but the type of watches I love, I'm not sure if,
if Abram can afford it.
Yeah, I'm not sure the resources he has, but thanks for the thought.
And Stuart K. Sent us a message through in Oak Park, Michigan. A good friend, Stuart, writes, I am so inspired by people like you. Keep up the great work. And that message is echoed, of course, here in the studio as well. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with Shyne in a couple of minutes at IsraelSportsRadio.com.
The All Sports Talk Network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Looking for great food, great atmosphere, and great sports all under one roof? And come on down to Agove Sports Bar. Whether it's sitting back, relaxing, and enjoying food and drink with your friends from Agove's kosher menu, or getting into the action by watching the biggest games in sports on one of Agove's 742-inch plasma TVs, Agove has something for everyone. So come on down to Agove Sports Bar, located on 5 Solomon Street in downtown Jerusalem, and plan your next event at Agove.
And we're back at Monday Sports Talk. We took a quick break to give Shyne a breather. Are you still okay with us? Can we go a little longer?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Fantastic. We got a bunch of guys over here in the studio. We have, of course, Ari Lewis, our producer, who would also like to get in on the conversation. So, Ari, you have a question for Shyne?
Yeah, Shyne, thank you. Excuse me. Shyne, thank you again so much for being on IsraelSportsRadio.com. You know, you mentioned being in prison. I'm reminded of the story of Yosef. You know, he was in prison. He was also betrayed by people he counted on, and all of a sudden he has power. He has riches and power. And similar with you, you're doing well. You got the albums coming up. You're in the homeland. So talk about that contrast and how you handle that, going from the bottom to right back up on top.
You know, again, Yosef. I know my name is Moshe, but you know, they say one of the attributes that Yosef had was that he spied on his brothers, and not in a bad way. He spied on them, and he gathered greatness from each and every one of them. And they say Yosef is the concealed Malchus, you know, Yehuda is the revealed one. And that's what I do, man. I take something from all of my forefathers, and Avraham, Yitzhak, you know, Yaakov and Moshe and Aaron and Yosef and David HaMelech. But from Yosef, you know, he was really my inspiration, one of my primary inspirations through the incarceration, because, you know, the story is like really parallel to the T. But what I would do was I would pray that Hashem would reward me the same way that he rewarded Yosef. Obviously, I'm not Joseph Hasadik, you know, I'm not even in his realm. But, you know, we all have a spark of our forefathers within us, and I try to nourish that spark by doing the things that I did, you know, whether it be going to different prison facilities, and they would look at me and be like, yeah, right, you know, you're African-American and you're Jewish. Yeah, okay, I'm going to win the lottery. And they would try to feed me, you know, non-kosher food. They would try to beat me up to take my sits, and, you know, they would take my tefillin because they're like, yo, you're not Jewish. You're going to hang yourself with this. And, you know, and I fought, you know, I was injured, you know, a lot of things, man, all, you know, to stay connected to Hashem, and that's when it counts. But I knew that, you know, one thing, as I said, I'm not special. And, you know, though Yosef was special, Hashem doesn't discriminate. He wants to take care of all of his children, whether they be great sages, whether they be Hasadiks or Malchus. He wants to take care of all of us, and he wants us all to be blessed and all of us to enjoy life to the maximum. So I knew once I followed the pattern of Joseph by being devout and by making all of the sacrifices for 10 years, you know, keeping kasha, doing everything, that I would be rewarded the same way that Joseph was rewarded, because that's how Hashem does. He takes care of everybody the same way. And I tell you, you know, it was the day I walked out of prison, I was worth, you know, even more than I was worth before I went into prison. And I had every single thing that I could imagine, that I could dream about, from a material level to a spiritual level. It was exactly as I hoped and I prayed for.
That's awesome. That's an awesome question and an awesome answer. And just was wondering as well, when you started making the music right now, do you find that the atmosphere here in Jerusalem lends to make it easier to come up with the music? Like you said, it has to inspire you. It's not just the words, it's the feelings that are there. I assume you made music in all different parts of the world.
Yeah. I made music in all different parts of the world, but ironically, and I'm not sure if ironically, I think deliberately, I haven't really made music here in Israel. I'm a very, very sensitive guy. I just don't make music. I really have to be inspired. But for me, this is really not about music. This is so much bigger than anything that the earth could offer me. It's really about becoming as powerful as I can spiritually, connecting with Hashem, in the greatest way possible, and then I'll be able to make music like you never heard. But it's like, David Melech didn't want to live in too close to the Kotel. He lived outside of the base of Mikdash. It was such a powerful place, such a powerful energy coming from this place. For me, I'm just soaking that energy up, and I'm soaking right now, man. So I haven't really sat down. I got like 1,000 beats. People, the biggest producers in the world, send me beats every day, and I got a gang of content. I got a gang of information that I'm ready to load. But there's a time, Shlomo said there's a time for everything, and right now it's just not the time to make music. Because when I make music, I'm gonna make music. I'm gonna make a few albums, and right now, it's not the time for that. It's time for me to connect. It's time for me to. I've been doing more talking than singing, to be quite frank. I've been giving more speeches than I have, as far as recording. What I have been doing is performing. I've been rehearsing for my world tour, and it's been great. It's been great. I don't think I've been as inspired and as powerful as I've ever been than I am down here with my performance. It's been something like, when I performed in America, it was very inspiring. I had a animalistic passion at that time, and it's amazing to see the divine passion that I got now. That is even more powerful than that animal soul that was performing back. So it's been great. That's one thing I can say as far as the music is concerned. I have been rehearsing, and the rehearsals have been very, very fulfilling to me.
I just want a quick question about the music style itself. Is cleaning up the words going to make a big difference, do you think? I mean, people in the rapping hip-hop...
I mean, to be honest, man, like even the song that you were playing, those records, are not too far off. Because, if you really listen to what I'm saying, in the record, the Messiah record, I say, Shorty want to be like me. I'm saying the guy wants to be like Poe, but I'm like, no, he needs to be more like, Barack O, or be a president, be a prime minister, be a doctor, be a surgeon. Don't go sell crack. So even within some of my records that might not seem to have any significance, there is always significance there, but I don't believe in preaching to people. I'm an entertainer. I make music. I definitely don't believe in damaging people's souls. So, even before I came to Israel, my music, took a shift. There was a paradigm shift because I've just experienced so much pain and so much destruction and so much disaster that, I don't really feel comfortable singing about that too much. Obviously, you talk about it and you mention it. But, with the exception of, taking out the F words, that's the only thing that really, that's been adjusted with the music. The content is really still there because the things I'm saying, I'm not more that I've been dubbed, I'm Shyne. I'll give you an example of the records I'm making now. It's like, let me see, I seen grown men cry through the course of time, searching for what they can't find, lost outside of themselves, and attached to material wealth, hopelessly holding on to nothing, overwhelmed. Am I a sinner? Because I want to be a winner with the honey and the milk and more women than will. I'm trying to catch it, but the message that I'm getting is that money is the shepherd. I'm the sheep. Listen, in a world where the good die quicker, love can't get you, nothing money can get you. Because when the dough ain't with you, boy, them girls ain't with you when you fit your bed. They wish you all the hate they could wish you. Bitch, brown liquor tearing up my liver, added up. Everything else, listen, I had enough. The the fame, make it bad enough, searching for the part of God that we all have in us. Cause and effect, fleeting illusions, seeds that I'm planting, the choices I'm choosing. The more I get, the more I want. I'm never satisfied. Too much of something's good for nothing's running through my mind. Thinking, do I take a plea or do I go to trial? Cause in the box and the drop, I'm still doing time. 360 degrees and catch 22. 148 organs, blood running through. The sky's blue, but ain't nothing black and white. It's various gray areas. Poe is the alias, shine is the light from the spark within. Moses is my soul, so I'm off and in a place far from near traversing towards zones. I'm trying to make it to my maker, not flesh and bones. Running horses with 220 on the dash and the engine in the back and the pedal to the floor. I'm racing time, trying to climb to the top, but when I get there, ain't nowhere else to go. Still in a hurry. What you want from me? Maybe I'll find peace when I'm buried. So I wrote that several years ago in prison. So, you know, I was already where I'm at now. So you know, it's not too big of an adjustment.
That was very beautiful, and I really appreciate the time that you took to come on our show tonight. And if you would allow, I'd like to give you a blessing before we go to commercial. Of course, I thank you very much for coming on tonight, but if I may, it's a personal blessing from me to you. Are you ready, Shyne?
Yeah.
Okay. We know that in our traditions, peace is the #1 rated possibility of making a difference in other people's lives. And so I'd like to bless you that you make personal peace with each person that ever came into your life, and especially with your dad and with your family members and crew members and all the other people in the world. There's an old saying that, you know, we never expect something, we just go with it as it goes. So you should be blessed with the power of peace, and that everyone should be able to make peace with you, and that you should be able to accept it from them and just grow from higher to higher until you reach all the goals that you want to reach in this lifetime, so we can all continue to be inspired by you, and you'll be inspired by everyone that listens to your music.
Amen, 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 amen.
And
Shyne, one thing I wanted to say, we have some interns from Young Judea that came in just to hear your interview. We got Turtle, Adam, and we got Ben, so they wanted to listen to you because they're big fans of yours. So can you give a shout out to those guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Turtle, Adam, and Ben. I'm sorry I couldn't be there. We'll definitely try to show up and come out, bring some of the new music in another time. But I thank you for your support, and you know, come to that concert March 12th. March 12th in Tel Aviv. I'm actually, maybe I'll call back in. I'll come to the show to announce the exact to start.
we'd like that very much.
Definitely. So maybe we'll set aside some tickets just for your radio show, so you can give away to your fans. Definitely, we're going to have 3 tickets for Turtle, Ben, and Adam.
All right, thank you.
And you know, it's crazy. I always, when I meet people, because you know, I'm not stuck on a high horse. So even though, you know, I'm acidic, and they always ask me, what type of acidic? I said, David Amelech acidic. But I always let them know too, I'm Ben Adam. At the end of the day, we're all sons of God, and we all come from the first man. And so it doesn't matter who you are. So it's funny that 2 of my big supporters are Ben and Adam.
Cute. I like that.
Yeah.
Again.
And Turtle is good because they say Turtle wins the race.
There you go.
Because the guy that's racing runs out, but the Turtle, he's going to get there.
Absolutely. Again, thank you very, very much for joining us, and we look forward to your next appearance with us, and we'll continue to root for you with continued success.
All right.
And thank you very, very much.
Thanks a lot, Shyne.
All right.